What's up, Reel Down fanboys and fangirls and all you people in between all that? It's me, Jimmy Skinner, back for another year hosting the Reel Down. As anybody watching on YouTube or Facebook can see, we got a few new little looks and a couple things missing. It's just me for probably the next 30 seconds. But Dan decided to go off and start his own show. It was the show that he did a little while on our network. It's a fantastic thing. I think it's Advanced Angler. Just different look and more high level take on like fishing techniques and baits and stuff like that. So he broke out on his own to do that. None but love for him. I wish him luck. I think it's going to be cool. So make sure you tune in and check that out. But yeah, so hope everybody had a good Christmas and a good New Year. And thanks for everybody to coming back to join us. I feel like I haven't been on here in forever. I think our last show is the beginning of December. It feels like it's been like 3 months since I did a podcast, but that's not true at all. But as you can see, we got a shout out to Brian. Brian put in a lot of hard work getting the new intro. We've got new outros coming. Bunch of new rotating highlight stuff we're going to have, all these cool overlays. I finally got my logo finalized, thanks to him on that, and thanks to John Rapp for drawing it up. I don't have it where I can blow up the logo on the screen yet. That's the one piece that we don't have, but I'm hoping that I can get some stickers made, maybe get this thing put on some t-shirts and stuff for anybody that would want anything like that. I've had people ask about it, so maybe we'll do it. Maybe I'll throw a little money, all that the millions and millions of dollars that you make doing fishing podcasts. We'll put some of that back into the show. But yeah, so new year, new co-host. I didn't waste too much time this time looking for a new co-host. I'll give a shout out to Brad Hicks because he was the one that put the name in my head, which is kind of stupid considering this guy was a really good friend of mine. But yeah, without really any further ado, I'll just introduce him. Co-hosting with me from now on and until I quit, my man that goes by many, many names, Gerald Garland, Gerard, Mr. Garrad Johnson. What's up, buddy?
On?
Not much, man.
Glad to be here.
You agreeing to be part of the Paddle and Fin family / freak show. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. I think it's going to be a good year for us. I'm ready to get going, get after it. I'm ready for tournament season to start kicking up too. I'm itching.
Your tournament season only ended like a month ago.
Yeah.
Garrad, for anybody that doesn't know, Garrad's a pretty diehard fisherman, but as far as tournaments go, but we're going to get into that. So, first off, I appreciate it. I really do. I kind of threw it in your face and was like, hey, you want to do this with me? And you didn't even you were like, oh yeah. And you're a busy man and your life's about to get busier. Yeah. And you didn't even really I was like, you want to think about it? And you were like, no, I want to do that. So,
I think I've always considered myself like a yes man and always saying yes to just whatever comes my way. And then
that's my problem. I used to love that about myself. And then now I'm like, most of the stress in my life is because sometimes I just don't say no. That's like my 2023 goals to start just hurting more people's feelings and being like, no, F you, I'm done. I don't want to do this.
Sometimes,
but yeah, so yeah, for yourself. So let's introduce yourself first. Just tell everybody who you are, where you're from and how you got into kayak fishing, since this is a kayak fishing podcast after all.
Oh yeah, that's a good place to start, I guess. So I'm originally from Kentucky, but I moved around quite a bit. I moved to Florida.
Against you.
Yeah. I moved to Florida for a little while. Don't hold this one against me, but I lived in California for a little while. And then
explains a lot.
Yeah. After that, I ended up moving back to. That's kind of where I started fishing more when I got back to Kentucky, and my whole time during college, broke college kid basically. So the easiest way to get into fishing, not from the bank, is out of a kayak. So All my summer breaks and any kind of breaks I had, I was out fishing somewhere on the creek.
And just for reference, because a lot of people that come here, most of the folks that listen to us have been in the tournament scene for a while, or at least been within the kayak fishing world enough to like understand it's still in its infancy, but kind of know where the sweet years are. When you got into it and you were in college, what years was that?
Oh, shoot. That was probably 2012, 2013, somewhere in that range.
Okay, so still kind of early, and then my phone's blowing up. Usually this doesn't happen at showtime. I'm sorry.
Man, you're a popular guy tonight.
Yeah, it's just my wife. She's probably yelling at me about something. So it was still kind of early as far as when kayak fishing was taking off as in the direction that it is now.
Yeah, and then like a lot of us, I guess, when I got started, I didn't realize there was even a tournament scene for kayak stuff.
Yeah. Were you one of the guys that up in the beginning were already taking like a crap load of fish and stuff with you like you do now, or was it very like simplistic?
It was very minimalistic and
Don't you miss that?
Yeah, I had like maybe one or two rods and a little backpack that I had with a couple tackle boxes in it and some.
And folks, he is as far opposite of that as you get. My man has his Hobie maxed out, son. That thing has got gear all over that bad boy. He's not the guy you want to help at the boat ramp. That's the thing.
No, definitely not. That thing's probably pushing, God, like 200, 250 pounds or something like that. With it.
Yeah, he's not kidding. Like, and he manhandles it into the back of his truck by himself and blows my mind. Like, he just chucks that big bastard in the back of his truck. But so when did you first start getting into the kayak tournament fishing stuff?
I want to say 2015 or 16, somewhere in that range.
And a lot of local stuff.
Yeah, it was my first tournament was with CTK, the club that I run now. But that was my first tournament ever. And I mean, I was timid about doing one in the first place, but some of my buddies that I talked with in California, they're like, man, I've been seeing you catch all these fish. Well, why don't you try a tournament? So, and
how'd it go?
I ended up second in my very first one. And that was like, from there, I was just hooked from that point on.
It's like the polar opposite of my first tournament. I zeroed in my first tournament. But
you ought to come fish CTK then, because I don't know what it is about our club. For anybody that doesn't know, that's Central Tennessee Kayak Anglers. Almost every time we get somebody that's new, their first tournament, they end up cashing a check, and I don't know what it is.
Club's got a good set of beginner juju going on.
We got a beginner's luck going on that just keeps passing down, I guess.
Yeah, one that I can remember is Waylon.
Yeah,
I don't know about his first tournament, but I think it was his first tournament year, and he Angler of the Year.
Yeah,
and he won and done it. Now he like, I haven't talked to him in forever. He doesn't get in his kayak ever anymore. I don't think. Like,
I know. I don't even know if he still has it.
He came in, hit a high note, and then bailed. Like,
yeah, he's going out on top.
Smart man.
He's one of those I'll take my money and run kind of guy.
Well, so normally, like at the end of a show, we do like a sponsor run through and kind of the, that's what supports you in fishing. But so you mentioned you're a tournament director for CTKA.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. Talk about your club a little bit, and then tell us about some of the other things you do, like your Hobie fishing team. You're part of a couple other good teams. Talk about that a little bit, and just let. I mean, a lot of the stuff you have. I mean, sure, there's Hobie fishing team guys, but you're part of one brand that you don't hear a lot about, and you've got your hand dipped in quite a few little cookie jars. So
yeah, it's the cookie jar keeps growing, and I try to keep everybody happy, but
it's about to have to shrink. So you better enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah. So yeah, I run the Central Tennessee Kayak Anglers. I've been doing that this will be my fourth season. Is that right? Yeah, fourth season with them. And
as a director,
as a director, fifth season total. So 6 seasons total. second season I won AOI, and the director was like, "Here, take this."
Yeah, that's the fastest way to get rid of the competitions, make him run the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, you handle that. I haven't won it since then, but
See, you need to pass the torch.
I guess so. It's been somebody different almost every year. I think we've only had one repeat, and that was Big Trey.
Old Trey.
Yeah.
I need to get him on here one day. We're gonna have to get him on here, him and Condor, so that they can argue with each other like a married couple the whole time, and it'll be great comedy.
Yeah. If you want to get somebody on that knows his stuff about kayaks, you definitely need to get Trey because he's been through.
Now he's one of our like biggest listeners. He'll text me as soon as this airs, and because I'm mentioning him. But I think he told me he's on like kayak 43 or something like that.
I think he just got a new one like a couple days ago.
He got a light tackle 2.0. He told me about it. Like he's or light tackle 2, whatever they're calling it. He's always in a different one, but he's the one person I can trust. If you need information about a kayak, he's been in it and can give you like real time data on it.
He can give you the
he's
experience of it.
7'5". He's not, but he's like 6'8" or 6'9". He's a big guy, and I mean, he can tell you that there's certain kayaks that you would think would be way out of your range, whether you're too heavy, you're too small, and it's too much kayak to handle, or on the opposite, like I'm a very big guy. This is too little of a kayak, and like he's blowing my mind with some of the kayaks that he's told me work the best for him, like the Slayer 10. Like he's like one of the coolest pedal drives I've ever been, and now he's got a iTrek 11 inflatable, and he's like, I feel like anybody that ran one of those in a tournament last year is because they saw he wasn't tournament fishing, but he's the only person been putting any content out there on it. Mm-hmm. And he's been taking it on moving water trips and lake trips and just showing that it is perfectly fine for kayak fishing.
Yeah.
But there's a little side tangent. Show Trey some love. I love you, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tournament director, you get to control all that nonsense. For any of our other tournament directors listening, it's fun and stupid all at the same time.
It's I'm a glutton for punishment too. So every year I think we add 1 or 2 events per year. So now we're at 12 per year for this year.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, everybody that's fishing it wants to fish like year round, so
that's well. I mean, I recommended that to like some of our clubs. Is like we should fish like the North Alabama guys. It's like maybe we should fish like 7 events a year, and most of those guys don't want to deal with all that. It's hard enough to deal for, and I completely understand it. It's a lot of moving parts. Well, tell us about some of the other things you got going on in the fishing realm.
Well, outside of that, I do like to tournament fish like some other trails besides our club. I fish a lot in the Tennessee Bass Nation events. That's my goal for this year, is to try to win AOI for that. And then I'll dabble with some of the Bassmaster and Hobie events, but I kind of restrict my time because of the CTK stuff, so I don't get a whole lot of time to go run off and do some of those bigger events. And I feel like it's hard to compete in those with the guys that really are because you're fishing with the dedicated anglers and that stuff, and those guys.
I said it, like, I still like to go to some of them because, it's fun to hang out and see everybody. And, you never know when it's going to be your day. I mean, things happen. But I got a kind of eye opener last year, the very first tournament of the year, that like, it happens sometimes, but more times than not, I don't know how I did that. There he is.
You trying to kick me off here already?
Apparently. Hold on. Hey, that's something to remember. Spacebar does it as a quick button. So
nice.
Found me a hotkey. But very first tournament of the year, it does happen occasionally, but more times than not, the names you see on top are the people that can literally commit, more than a week. Sometimes they can commit. I mean, obviously, if the rules are allowing it, but I heard there were people down in Kissimmee 3 weeks before the event. Like,
so some of that's just insane.
I can figure out any body of water in 3 weeks. I was trying to figure it out in 2 days. How am I going to figure? And I've never been there before. If it'd be different if like I had history there. Like if you like Gunnersville, I go to Gunnersville enough. I can probably not pre-fish Guntersville ever again and still stumble onto something.
Yeah.
Like,
or at least show up like the
or
day
Wheeler.
before and be like,
Yeah, like,
just check on some stuff.
yeah, and mostly that's just like, okay, this spot's not it, but this one is. But that kind of killed. That was the only big event I did last year. I think. Hell, I can't remember. I may have done another one.
We did the
Oh yeah,
KBF
we
on
did KBF
Guntersville.
Guntersville together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to catch a fish on a frog for the first 2 hours because I hadn't done it in like a few months. And by the time I started hammering them, it was too late.
Yeah. You were smoking them there for a minute.
Yeah, I was getting a bite like every like 2 or 3 like casts, and then when I finally started like slamming it in the roof of their mouth, the bite died, and then I didn't get bit on the frog the rest of the day. And I tried, buddy. I freaking tried, but
You live and die by it sometimes.
that's why I hate topwater. I
Yeah.
love topwater, but
It's
God
just so hard
forbid,
to put
like
down once you get bites on it.
I rounded you got there before I did. I rounded the corner and was going past you, and you had to blow up on a frog, and I was like, okay, I wasn't gonna try
Yeah.
that yet. I threw the frog, and like fourth cast, I caught one fish, and I was like, here we go. That is the worst thing I need in my life in a fishing tournament is to get a bite on a frog 35 seconds into the freaking day. Like, because then I'm just like, well, the other 7 rods I brought no longer exist unless they've got frogs on them. But
yeah, that burned me this year at Chickamauga, the Tennessee Bass Nation state event. Like 10 minutes into the day while it's still dark out, I was catching them on a frog, and I was like, all right, well, I know what I'm doing for the rest of the day. Not putting this thing down.
You ended up finishing your day out on Guntersville that day, like sight fishing, because they were on beds. That's a strength I have, and I didn't even try one time that day. I didn't care. Like, I'd roll by, and like, if they weren't like locked, I can still catch them when they're not locked. Like, I can catch them roamers every now and then, and you can kind of pay attention to their pattern. I didn't care. Like, and that, I guess that's like ADD or something like that. Like, I was dead set. Like, no, not how this is going down. I'm going elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what separates us from some of those guys that really cast some checks, is they have the discipline to be able.
I think you definitely have the discipline. Like, sure, maybe sometimes you stick to one thing too long, but I've also seen you when we like, I don't want to say pre-fished because we were just out there fishing like a month before that, and me and the other guy would roll in a spot, not see anything, kind of move along, you maybe catch some smaller fish. You'd pull in and just slow down, and then you're like calling us and like, hey, I'm staring at an 8-pounder on bed. And like, we rode right over it. And like, like you said, you're like, well, yeah, when you came in, it spooked out. And if you just sit there and let everything acclimate, he'll come right back. And you're right. I mean, you caught way more fish just for that fact. Like, you've got that dedication. I mean, I wouldn't even say they're bad decisions. I mean, everybody makes the decisions that we make sometimes where you're just like, I'm going to die with this bait in my hand because I have confidence in it. Like, but
I've just got some kind of like curse where I can finish consistently average in every event.
Consistently average.
Like, just out of check range.
That's the best way to say it. Yeah.
But just like good enough, but just out of check range.
Up until this year, I've never finished in the money in a tournament. I always finished like middle of the pack, like middle of. If there was 40, I was 23rd. So 22nd. Or worse.
For me, it's always like top 25%, somewhere in that range. I mean, that's still good, but you're not getting any money from it. So
yeah. That I finally had to, there's smaller club events, and I got second and third in them, and I don't know, that felt good because I feel like it's been like a long time coming, and it like booster. Oh yeah, and it's kind of like changed like how I'm going to approach this year. Like, I like fishing the national events. Mostly it's because I like to travel to fish places I've never been. I honestly, Angler of the Year does not interest me in any. From a club aspect to a bass boat tournament, if I was that good, I don't care. Like, it's not. I think winning the championship would be cool, but it's like I don't really care about trying to be the best angler of the year. I don't know. For me, it's like like some guys would say, like if you listen to people like Drew, they're really going for these titles, like Drew
Yeah.
Gregory. So like if I won at Gunnersville at the Bassmaster tournament, and then I win one in KBF, and then I win one in Hobie, that's not going to make me want to fish it again. Like as far as, oh well, I've won one, so now I gotta stay consistent to do. Like I don't care. Like
Yeah.
it's just not that. That's kind of where I differ. I remember talking to somebody one time, and they were like, "Well, nobody spends $250 to go fish for fun. I spend $250 to do stupid stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm not acting like I got a lot of money, but my wife hates to hear it. But $250 is in my range of like effort money sometimes, or I'm like,
Yeah.
like
I can gamble with this a little bit.
exactly. I like poker. I like
Yeah.
roulette. $250 goes quick. Like, but I don't know that the doing okay and then a couple of the smaller local stuff. I think this year I'm gonna go back to focusing on that. Um, that one club's got a bunch of events this year, so I'm probably gonna do that. And I've said it for years that I was gonna come fish up. I fished with TVK a couple of times,
Mm-hmm.
but it was when they came to Gunnersville. But I want to come fish some of the CTKA stuff and go fish with Steve-O and TVKA and
Yeah. Do the whole
KBFTN and
do the whole ring around the state. We got 11 clubs, I think now.
Jesus,
10 or 11. Yeah.
trying to compete with Texas.
Yeah.
Texas has got, I cannot remember, man. Duke Tran told me one time, and I think it's like 30 something. Now Texas is a big ass state.
Yeah, and I
but
mean
like,
they got a lot more area and a lot more population.
But he was even talking about how like it's starting to like walk on other, because like these three clubs all fish this one lake,
Yeah.
so it's like everybody's regions are kind of crossing.
I think that these clubs have all been around long enough that we kind of stick to our little zones.
That's good.
Sometimes we overlap, and when we do overlap, it's like a joint event.
That's something that's changed in our state this year that I'm super excited for. Is all the clubs are finally, they always kind of work together to where they minimalize dates crossing over as much as possible, but they never really did like joint events. And this year we got a bunch of that happening throughout the state, so that's really cool to see. And I think most of the clubs had rule changes. The entire state's allowing motors now, I'm pretty sure. Awesome. Good job, guys, getting into the current age.
Yeah.
We've been falling behind, but it's cool. Alabama's low key with kayak fishing. It's fun. Like, it's competitive. Nate Mayfield always said it best. NACA is the only club you can come to, and if you win, we're gonna make worse fun of you. Like, if you win Angler of the Year, we will just F with you the whole year. Like we don't care. Good job. No one cares. That's just kind of the deal. Dadgummit.
Yeah, quit doing that.
I dropped it on the
keyboard. No, I mean, as far as like Tennessee and Alabama, and maybe not some other states, but sometimes when you're fishing these grassroots clubs like that, you're still fishing against some of the same competition that you would be.
Oh, especially in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember some of the guys I've talked to about fishing KBFTN. He was like, you're fishing against literally all the people that finish in the top 20 in the National Trail. They're all there.
Like, I've consistently fished against like Riser and Russ Snyder and Josh Stewart and all of them. Like,
yeah, Stewart won the AOI this year for was it Tennessee Bass Nation?
Yeah.
He just got squeaked out at our last chance qualifier that we did for the Bassmaster Championship coming up. He got second in that on Pickwick.
Nice.
He thought he had it, man. I think he told me he's off the water by like 10 a.m.
Yeah,
because he had got out there and did all right, and one of the guys snuck right on around him. But he's a real cool guy.
He is. I mean, all of the guys are. I mean, it's pretty close knit, tight knit community.
It's the same way in kayak fishing or in our state, in most states. I mean, there's not too many bad apples in it.
Yeah,
and everybody gets along, and it's always a fun time. And there's a bunch of guys that fish in Alabama that I wish would fish nationally, like consistently. That I think
there's some of those guys. If you get them on some of those national trails, they're just as good as anybody else.
Yeah, 100%. But since we're talking about it so much, we'll step back before we get into that. So couple other things you do. Like I said, Hobie fishing team. What else you got on your?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to work with a couple different companies. The longest one has been Rogue Fishing. I've been with them since pretty much they started. And then I work with Music City Outdoors now. Hobie Fishing, that's probably the big one. And then this past year, I got to work with Yozuri and Hardcore. They brought me on as an ambassador for their program.
That's really cool because I don't hear too many people
Yeah, I don't
affiliated
know,
with that brand.
and I don't know that there's too many kayak guys that are affiliated with that
Yeah,
brand. I've seen some bass boat guys. I mean, there's some pretty big name bass boat people that are with that brand, but not too many kayak guys. And I'm hoping to keep pushing that envelope for them.
yeah, and
Represent.
for all our listeners, make sure y'all. I'm gonna push him over to the final cast with Brad and Matt. I'm almost positive they haven't done an episode with anything related to Yozuri, so you'll be able to
Yeah,
help them nerd out on that.
educate them a little bit.
Yeah, and if there's a bait that they make, Garrad has it. I remember when you
Yeah,
told me you got with him and everything, and like the box that you ordered.
yeah.
He basically like bought one of everything, and he's got a lot of their stuff, like
And then
everything.
I never really used the hardcore baits as much because I guess they're kind of newer before I started working with them, and those are definitely some of my favorite hard plastic baits that I've ever used now.
That's awesome.
So
Well, everybody be looking into that. I'll do it tonight. I'll get in there, so we'll probably get that show rolling in the next few weeks.
awesome.
Um, so yeah, I figured what we would do for your first show before we have guests in here and have to control all that chaos.
Yeah,
We did a little bit of a show about it before we went on break, but we talked about we did the big four trail schedules. I am super sorry I did not pull up the All American Kayaks schedule. But I'm sure we're gonna have those guys on. I haven't had any of their guys on in a while, and it's a really cool club, and they're doing really good things. And I mean, they have huge turnouts to be not national and kind of bigger than local. You know, they average over 100 easy.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I could be totally lying, but I'm pretty sure they do. And I know they have big turnouts, and I know like Queen City Kayak Fishing has huge turnouts, but
yeah,
um, all those guys, you know, keep those trails rocking really good. But here, we'll I'll pull them up one at a time at Garrett, and we'll talk about the dates, the locations, and you know what we think about it, and you know if it's one you think you're going to try and swing, we'll talk about that.
yeah.
So let me
Sounds good to
screen
me.
share it.
I've already got my calendar made out for the year. I'll get that pulled up here.
That's the first year I haven't made one. Every other year, as soon as the dates hit, I'm like, here's where I'm going.
I
I'm
pretty
just
much
gonna wing it this
got
year.
to. I pretty much got to with the CTK stuff because if I don't
Oh
have
yeah,
it marked down somewhere, then I'll end up overlapping our events and you'll get mad at me.
yeah. That for I'm like I don't know how much I'm gonna national tournament fish this year. Like obviously, anybody looking at this on YouTube, I just pulled up the Bassmaster Kayak Series 2023 schedule. The very first event, March 4th and 5th, Lake Gunnersville. Of
Yeah,
course, I'm gonna be at that one. It's my backyard. It's my shit. Best time of the year. I think me and Garrad can take what we screwed up on last year. We can go to said juicy hole and lay hate on some good fish.
yeah. Just gotta execute this time.
Yeah,
But
I got to get there on time, and
yeah, that's probably the biggest thing.
you've got to make sure you've got your identifier with you
And my battery. I don't gotta
and your
spend an hour
battery.
and a half
Yeah,
going back for that.
quick story. I wake up, tell him I'm running late. He's like, I got halfway there and forgot my battery, so I'm headed back home. And then I had his identifier card. So then even though he got to the water, he had to like fish around the ramp to wait on me to get the identifier. It was a nightmare. Like I probably lost 2 hours of fishing
Yeah,
day just through the
and
chaos.
you don't want to give up 2 hours against that level of
No, because all the
competition.
good names were there
Yeah,
because it was Gunnersville and it was No, yeah, that was spring. I think it was March. I can't
It
remember.
may have been April or May. I don't know. It's somewhere in the spring. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it was fun. But
So
yeah.
that's
So
obviously one that we're looking at. We got
oh yeah,
circled.
we're
Uh,
going to that one.
that's
Next up we got Hartwell in South Carolina, April 15th and 16th. Heard a lot of good things. Have zero experience there, and honestly, I don't really have interest in going to Hartwell ever. Not really.
I feel like it could be a fun lake, especially if you haven't had the chance to get into like really big spotted bass. Uh, that's one for sure you'd want to
Not
look into
to
for that.
pop any collars, but we don't have that problem down here in Alabama.
Yeah,
I can drive down the road 10 minutes and go smack on some biggins.
yeah, this is true. I mean, you can get all three, I think, at Hartwell, right? And like they got,
I think so. If I
I don't
recall
know if the
correctly.
smallmouth population. No, maybe they don't. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I can't remember. That's one thing Dan always excelled with when he was co-hosting with me. Is he was like the bridge to the geographical part of it that I am
Mm,
not.
yeah,
Like I could tell you where they are. He could tell you about them because he fished in college and he's moved around a lot. He knows these lakes and he's a
yeah,
bass nerd, man. Like he can tell you some of the craziest stats and things about whatever pro fisherman. And it was always fun because he could keep it relative. And I'm sorry to our listeners, I'm not your guy.
yeah. I
Um,
can try to fill that role, but I don't know
I'm
if
gonna
I can
work
keep
on
up
it,
with
but
that. Yeah.
I'm not that guy. Um,
Uh,
but after that one, I wanted to go to this lake before it made a big hit in the championship 2 years ago. June 3rd and 4th, Bassmasters going back to Possum Kingdom in Grayford, Texas. Everybody knows how that unfolded for the championship, and there were Joe McElroy was
mhm.
smacking giant bags with a broken kayak, and was it Pendergraph? Mark Pendergraph?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
ended up
he ended up winning that, right?
winning that one
Yeah.
with huge bags, and he was catching his fish like at the ramp.
Well, he catch like 110 inches or something
Yeah,
ridiculous.
they had. It may have been more than that because there was. I know Joe had over 100 both days, like 100 and something,
Jesus.
and he was throwing 100 up in the first like few hours,
Yeah.
and then Pendergraph just shut the door on it there at the end of that tournament. But that was a fantastic one. So I don't know if I'll go there for the tournament, but it's definitely somewhere on my list. Like I have been strongly debating making a either late February or late March Texas road trip. I actually have been meaning to talk to you about it because I already talked to Hummel
Yeah.
about it. So
Yeah, let me
I'd
know.
like to give Lake Fork another swing. TBH. To be honest, I'd like to give Lake Fork some more love.
Yeah. I feel like I've had so many missed opportunities there too that
Yeah.
I
To
got to
share in the
connect
house
with
with
them.
the hammers that we did, and to hear about all them catching fantastic fish. I didn't catch one under 3 pounds. I just didn't catch a lot of fish.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it goes for tournaments for me.
I want to
Uh,
see what that lake does after it's been low for so long, and
yeah,
if they end up having like a new lake syndrome after it
yeah.
starts filling back up.
Have they
Uh,
filled it back up yet?
I don't know for sure.
I haven't heard anything
I
about it.
don't know that they have. I think because I thought they were like working on the dam or something for it. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
had it low. One thing I was going to say about this Bassmaster Trail is that it kind of looks like they're going to basically all of the classic places like
Yeah,
Gunnersville's, all like
they hit
prestigious,
Gunnersville once every few years, so
yeah. Hartwell. I mean, they always go to Hartwell. Uh, I don't think that the bass boats have been to Possum Kingdom though,
I like
but
to keep it that way.
yeah, let's keep it that way.
And
Um,
then the next one though, July 8th, 9th, La Crosse, Wisconsin, Mississippi River. That
yeah,
still favorite place on earth. I will go back at some point. Maybe I ditch doing a March trip and that be my trip again this year because the weather. I went in August when I went, and the weather was still so nice, like 70. mid-70s day, and they'd still get cool enough to put on like a light jacket at night.
Yeah.
Like the place we stayed did not it had air conditioning, but you couldn't control it. Makes no fucking sense. Excuse my French. But like the weather was great. It didn't matter. The mosquitoes out there are something different, bro. They'll pick you up and carry you away.
Yeah, they're
You
like
gotta like
tarantula.
everybody talks about, oh, the Alabama State bird's a mosquito. You've literally never been up there.
Yeah.
Go up there. You're like, oh, that's a mosquito hawk. No, that is death
Is that
itself.
freaking pterodactyl about to swoop me up?
Yeah, you like it, it's you can hear their wings like fluttering. It's stupid.
Like my wife's from Michigan, and we go up there every now and then. And I remember going up there one summer, and like I swear I could feel the mosquitoes, like their the little needle they puncture into you.
Yeah.
It felt like somebody stabbing a pen into me. I was like, what is going on?
That's crazy.
It's not subtle at all.
Yeah, that's the only thing. The food was great. People are awesome. The fishing was, for me, it was crap, but it was mostly I was more into being in Wisconsin and look like being a tourist than I was the fishing.
Yeah.
I was not focused on fishing. Like it was
That's
so bad that I should have never entered the tournament in that whole situation. Like, because I didn't want to leave my wife hanging out at the house. I was like, hell no, we're gonna go have fun. So I pre-fished one day for like 4 hours, and then we went and hung out and went around town every other second of those days we were there. But yeah, cool place. If you've never been there, I highly recommend it for anybody, especially in the kayak world.
Yeah, I've always heard it's like a kayak playground. Like
it is, because especially if it doesn't say what pools they're gonna do, but if they do like everybody else and they do pool 7, 8, 9, it's like it's got something for every kind of angler. A little bit of moving water and current breaks, deeper water. There's little backwater stuff. You can chatterbait them, you can frog them, like you can do just so many different things out there. It's so cool. And then July, being that early, you might be
able to catch some spawning fish still.
I was gonna say it's either gonna be that or you're gonna be at the end of it, and it's gonna be that like funk before they're in their summer pattern. But I mean,
I guess
you'd still catch them out there.
Probably warms up faster than some of those other water bodies up there.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to like Lake Michigan and for 4th of July, and I was bed fishing for smallmouth up there.
Oh wow!
Like in towards the middle of July almost.
Oh, maybe it will be a springtime bite. So then we have October 7th and 8th. It's to be determined. I pulled this off of their page, so I don't think that's been filled yet unless I've missed it. So guess we'll see about what that one is. Let's see. Let me stop sharing that. I'm going to switch us over to the next schedule.
I'm trying to make sure I got 7th and 8th open.
Just in case.
Just in case. I don't know.
All right. We're going now. For everybody that's on here, this is the 2023. Let me make sure. It is the 2023 Hobie Bass Open Series event schedule. They start February 18th on the Harris Chain Lakes in Florida. I really want to go down there. Probably not for this event, but Dan had nothing but good stuff to say about the Harris Chain. It's just, I mean, it's legendary too. Like the Harris Chain will put on some big numbers in February. Unless we get some crazy ass weather, I think it's going to be a very, really big numbers, good tournament start for them. You got that one on your schedule?
Don't. We got our first CTK event, but
damn.
Yeah,
damn the guy that planned that.
Yeah, I know. There's only so many days of the year that I have
Ain't
to
that the
overlap
problem?
with some of them. But man, that's on my bucket list for sure. Is the Harris Chain or just Florida in general in February.
I went to me and Brian went to Kissimmee the end of the month, beginning of February last year, and they had the coldest weather they had in 25 years. So it was like in the 20s when you'd get up to get on the water. and it was terrible. 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds, 40-mile-an-hour gusts.
Yeah, I can
If you've
imagine
ever
those
been, for my Florida
extreme.
guys and anybody that's been down there knows it, there ain't nothing stopping the wind down there. It's flat. Like, you just got to figure out somewhere in another direction. And we were miserable. I'm glad we caught a good, we caught fish pre-fishing. Tournament day, he caught one. I zeroed. It was bad. Like, the fish he caught, I could have caught. I was just so fed up. I said, "Hey, there's a fish jumping right there. Catch it." And I just literally just left. And he came back and he's like, "Yeah, I caught it. That was a good job." But Harris chain, we were supposed to go right back down to Florida the next month and do that one, and we didn't. And I have debated on going down there this year because I want to make a Florida trip this year, and that might be where I go. I really want to go to Okeechobee.
Ooh, yeah.
Just
Same.
experience Okeechobee. Like, so be on the lookout for Jimmy. He might be down there. Their next event, March 11th, be Lake Caddo and Bistineau. Another one that I've always wanted to do. Have you fished Lake Caddo with KBF?
Yeah, I fished the national championship there a couple years ago.
What'd you think about Caddo?
I really liked it. It was. I had one of my best days to this date on Caddo. I think I had like 95 inches or something like that. And
Yeah. Everything I see and hear about it, I mean, just loaded cypress swamps. Like,
yeah.
I can get down with that. I
What's that
love
again?
flipping cypress
March
trees.
11th.
March 11th.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that'll
So
definitely be
we're gonna hit Gunnersville and then leave Gunnersville and drive to Louisiana.
yeah.
Hey, we might be able to make that work.
I don't know.
I might be able to take off that week, just basically not pre-fish for Gunnersville, fish Gunnersville blind, and then we
You
leave
can make that
Gunnersville, go
work.
load the truck up, and go to Louisiana. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Caddo's
Down
a
there.
cool lake too, and it's like I think it's one of the oldest natural lakes in the country or something, or in the world, somewhere in that range. But it's
Hell yeah.
yeah, cypress swamps.
Big gators and Cajun food.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, speaking of big gators, that's what you got at the next one too.
Yeah.
All through the first 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. Jesus. It really is.
Yeah.
So moving on to that, April 1st, April Fool's Day, Santee Cooper in South Carolina.
That's probably the
I've
one
heard
that I've got
so much about it.
circled
I
like
don't know anything about Santee
12
Cooper.
times. That's been a bucket list one for me for a while. And after seeing what happened with that place last year with the Bassmaster elites there and the Hobie, was it Hobie that went there last year? Or,
I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here, we'll just take a look back and we see. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it always shows out. It's one of the ones I don't get to, mostly because I forget. I don't get to watch the fishing on TV as much anymore, but I try to watch that one. Try to watch a couple more that are on this list actually.
Mm-hmm.
But Santee April 1st. The moving on from there, April 29th, we got Lake Seminole. I've never had any interest in it down there. I know Dan's had a bunch of trouble with it. It seems like it's feast or famine. Like,
yeah,
it's right there on that Georgia Florida line. Oh God, terrible. not the boy band.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that like at that time of year is going to put out some big numbers.
I'm sure it will. I mean, like I said, it always has really good for the winners, but it's like it's one of the ones that the leaderboard tapers dramatically every year I've covered it. It's like really good and then nothing. It's like there's not much of a downswing. It's like you're on them or you're out. The next one on the list will be a grinder.
Is it even more of a either you're on them or you're out?
Yeah. May 20th, Kentucky Lake. Again, someone gets on them here. And what's interesting about this? So everybody saw what Russ did on Kentucky Lake for the championship because the boundary rules are so open. And he can tell you, he followed the rules 100%. If you take Hobie's rules and they lock this lake in, because I don't know, I haven't clicked on the event info yet. I don't know if they're going to allow you to, what is the, it's like Kentucky Lake and
Barkley.
I don't know if Barkley's going to be in play. So if you stick all these, let's say 200 if they sell it out, which Kentucky Lake might be a hard one to sell out because a lot of folks are like, nope.
Mm-hmm. I think
it's going to be interesting to see how that field plays out because it's tough lake, period. Like there's nothing else to say about it. It used to be legendary and it is tough now.
That's probably the most humbling place that I fish, but I've
been one time, had a great day, up minus almost sank, and I could care less if I ever go back just because I hear about how hard it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the last year or so, it's kind of started to make a little bit of a comeback. Not nearly to the degree that it was 10 years ago or whatever, but I mean, you just kind of basically push that out of your mind, like that never existed.
You have to fish it.
Yeah,
like it's one of those places that I would say that I would not fish history on. Now, I mean, that's coming from somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience there, but no, let's say it is on the upswing. Maybe now would be the time that you could. But I've heard I talk to boat guys all the time, friends and family, and even people at the boat ramps. And Kentucky Lake always gets brought up, and like people that traditionally can kick ass there, like, oh, all my spots are dead. Like, don't know where the fish have gone. Blah blah blah. Asian carp. But curious. Well, I can't wait to see that one. That'll be one that. And again, we'll be covering as almost all these tournaments. If not every one.
When was that one again? In April,
May 20th. So summer transition.
Yeah, that one's going to be a little tough. That's like, I think a lot of people are going to try to ledge fish that, but
I mean, I feel like that's true no matter what time of the year it is on Kentucky Lake. Someone's out there fishing that ledge. Moving on from that. This has a lake that has moved to number 1 bucket list for me.
Oh, yeah.
June 24th, Cayuga Lake, up in New York, after watching MLF this year. And if you want to catch a freaking ton of stud smallies, that's the place to go. I will go ahead and give you my pick as who's going to win that event. And I'm Bailey Eichbrett. I think Bailey is going to do his homework, and everyone is coming up to his house.
Yeah.
Like, he has beat the piss out of everybody in the NYKBF all last year, and I think he takes that one to the house. Or if my man, how about said Drew Gregory? Not him, Greg Blanchard. If Greg makes the fly across the pond, his family's house is like 2 minutes from there or something like that. So like that's his home lake there, and he could show up and show out. That could be a really fun one to watch unfold. And then again, we got 100 great anglers in this country in kayak fishing. It could be anybody's game, but I've got my money on one of them two guys. What about you? Any input on that one?
I don't know. That like just excites me so much because I'm just seeing what that's been able to produce. I want to say that last year we fished a Guntersville event. It was a Tennessee Bass Nation one that I think it took 95 inches to win it or something like that, or 90 something. And they were fishing a tournament on Cayuga the same day, and that limit on Guntersville would have got you like 10th.
Yeah. And that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And guarantee you that limit was all brown fish too.
Yeah, it was like, I think it took 101 inches or something to win that event. And I was like, what is going on here? I think New York definitely gets slept on for.
And then it's like the lake. There's another fantastic lake out there that always gets, like, nobody thinks about. It got put up there this year, and I can't remember what it was in the bass boat world. It'll come to me when we get off because it's got a
not the
weird
St.
name.
Lawrence, is it?
No, that's
No.
got a weird name.
Yeah.
But I've been trying. We were talking about Trey earlier. I messaged him and he was joking around about selling his boat to get a bigger boat, and I was like, I live vicariously through you. I was like, go trade your boat in and get a bigger bass boat, and we'll take a week trip up to Cayuga. Because it was like in the middle. He was watching the bass boat stuff too, and it was like 2 New York tournaments in a row where they were catching mid-20s a day.
I don't remember.
And we were like, time to go.
Let's go.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. July 29th, the New River in West Virginia. I know absolutely nothing about that other than I hear. It's actually funny when something I get to close with. I forgot to talk about this. When I was getting my new boat set up by Jeff Little, he was helping me set up my new boat. That's all he would talk about was like, you got to go to the New River. You got to go to the New River. Like,
yeah,
I've heard of it, but I know nothing about it. But he talked about it. A couple of the other guys in the shop have been there. And other than telling you it's in West Virginia, I don't know anything about it. You know anything about it?
That one we'll have to talk to Hummel about. He's
That's
talking to me about
his stomping grounds. He was actually talking me. He was telling me, he's like, instead of us taking a Texas trip this year, he was like, just come with me to West Virginia. He's going to try and go twice this year.
I have heard
he was like
there's
everybody
some
else.
Big smallmouth on that river.
And he said he goes out there to fish, and most of the people out there and his family and everybody just wants to do float trips. And he's like, it'd be nice to somebody to go with me and fish it. And I was like, all right. And then moving up from that, we have August 19th, Mississippi River in Wisconsin. So La Crosse again, unless they're going lower pools, which I don't think they are. That August would be when I want to go up there because then you get on the frogging.
Yeah.
So
when was the Bass Master going up there? In July?
July. So 1 month before. I still think it'll be good, but I think August will get it more to where it's like the warmer time of the year for them.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm more confident on the moving water. And I've seen how the lily pads and like the frogging style areas set up there. I still don't know why I chose to fish moving water. I fished some skinny water tournament day there instead of talking with guys there. John Lessman was there, and he's like, dude, just go out there and throw a frog. You know how to do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, and I didn't. And then 3 hours into the day, he was leading the tournament in the spot that he was talking about that I was supposed to go to, catching on a frog. And I was like, yeah, well, here, put my foot in my mouth.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
story of my life. You said you're a Gunnersville guy. That's a lie.
Yeah. Any comment on that one? Think anything about that?
I mean, that's one. I mean, you already nailed it with the frogs. That's one I want to go up there one day and just glue a frog in my hand for a week straight and fish that. Is it duckweed that's up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got. It's so different up there. It's nothing like anything I'd ever been to before. It was a crazy fishery. And then I got re-fired up about it. Bassmaster went there last year, and I watched all of Scott Martin's videos from pre-fishing out there, and tons of fish just catching largemouth all over the place. But yeah, that'll be a fun one. And who knows? Maybe I skip out on the beach trip this year and go up there instead.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, we have their last tournament of the year before the TOC. The September 23rd, Sam Rayburn, Texas. That's a lake I want to go to so bad. God, I think that'll have some donkeys in it.
I feel like both of these trails just got like some really quality
heat. Yeah. They bring you some heat this year.
They are.
And then I love it. And then going on, it says November 8th, the 2023 Tournament of Champions. And right now the location says Alaska, and I'm assuming it's because they probably didn't click something.
All right. Looks like we're going to Alaska.
Yeah. In November. Good luck.
We're going salmon fishing for the
You're gonna sit your kayak on the lake and drill a hole next to it and ice fish.
Yeah, you're gonna be trying to run from grizzly bears the whole time.
All right, so that's Hobie for the year, and then the last one, And honestly, the one I don't want to say disappointed, but I thought last year the KBF trail I really liked. It had a bunch of kick-ass locations on it.
Yeah.
And this year it just I mean, there's some great places on here. It's just nothing that's like really entertaining me.
I can appreciate that they're trying to put something more out west, though. Like they
Yeah.
try to cater to some of those people out there. 'Cause
Oh yeah. Out west and then the Midwest got kind of skipped over last year.
yeah,
All American Kayak Series helped take care of that though to give those guys a good chance. But they start January 28th and 29th. So into this month, coming up quick. They're in Polk County, Florida. I'm pretty sure that it's still they're fishing Kissimmee. I think they're just I think it's gonna be less lakes than the whole chain.
yeah,
I talked to somebody about it and I can't remember. I haven't heard too much about that. So another great one if you want to start your year off in Florida, I mean, unless you hit the weather pattern that we did last year, you can't go wrong. Moving on from that, February 25th and 26th, Lake Murray. Hear a lot about that.
yeah.
Got any
That
interest in
sounds.
that one?
Honestly, I think I kind of want to go to the one in Florida more than the one at Lake Murray, but Lake Murray is definitely another place that's on the top of my chain of places that I want. I mean, I've got a laundry list of places that I want to hit.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
guilty. The next one on the list that now this would be a date. Just me remembering this one will be the same day as one of the Hobies, but
Yeah.
across the country. April 1st and 2nd, Lake Havasu. I would love to go to Lake Havasu just because it's like kind of legendary. Like,
Yeah, that would be awesome. I feel like that'd be a good time. Maybe a little early, but it may be a good time to try to sight fish some big smallmouth.
yeah. Talking about one that I think is a little bit earlier. We'll go ahead and talk about this one. April 15th and 16th, they're on Lake St. Clair. And St.
Yeah,
Clair,
I'd be
they've
curious to
hit,
see what the water
I think
temps
they've
are
hit
going
the
to be.
last 3 years and they hit it in June. And it's been phenomenal. I feel like knowing how everything thaws out, I feel like they're barely going to be clearing, the
Ice,
water warming up.
yeah. Better bring your
Uh,
ice fishing rods for that one.
right. So that one could, I'm curious to see how that happens. I'm sure it'll still, because it's Lake St. Clair, I'm sure it'll still have a huge turnout.
Yeah, it will.
But yeah, we'll see how that goes out for them. Moving on from that, April 22nd, 23rd, Grand Lake. And so that was where they had an event. I can't remember who had the event. Was it Bassmaster?
I think I remember there being a Hobie out there.
Or was it the Bassmaster Championship? Hell, I can't remember. But Grand Lake, I know that
they've
they've got.
had Bassmaster Classics out there
Yeah.
at Grand Lake.
That's the lake that they're getting some rules changed. So right now, like, they have limits on how far from the bank kayaks can go. So it really limits, your course of travel. And yeah.
Huh.
So that was a huge deal. But Chad said that they did some wheeling and dealing and got a bunch of that stuff changed for this event. So we'll see how that works. April 29th, 30th. So busy April. 4 tournaments in April for KBF. They're going out to the Potomac River, Virginia. That's on my list. I hear the Potomac is phenomenal.
That'd be an interesting place.
That'd probably be a good time for that one, I would think. I think that'll have a big turnout and be a fun river trip for a lot of the river-minded folks.
So they're just doing like every weekend in April?
Yep. They ain't skipping a beat.
Well, except for Easter weekend, I guess. But
well, yeah. I mean,
wow,
nobody'd show up for that one.
Huh.
But what they didn't do, so they had a couple years where they would have. So Chad dialed it back this year on the amount of tournaments, but you'd have it like they'd have April 15th and 16th, and they'd have 2 tournaments going on at the same time on 2 different sides of the country.
Yeah.
So none of that this year, but a packed April nonetheless. And then get about a month break. You go into May 20th, 21st, Lake George, New York. That's another lake that I think will have a big turnout or good numbers.
Yeah.
Big smallies. And then I bet you'll be in this one or the next one up from that, June 10th and 11th. They come down to Chickamauga.
Yeah.
I think that one will be packed with anglers.
Oh yeah, that'll be.
People will say what they want and talk all the crap about KBF I want, but it's hard not to fish tournament comes in your backyard.
Yeah, that'll be like prime ledge fishing season for anybody that likes to do that. Uh, I'm not a huge fan of ledge fishing just because I don't like fishing deep in general. But
Amen.
yeah.
It's it's the one I want to learn how to do it. That so like
Is
Dan
that
helped
did
me
the
out a good bit.
Hobie go out to Chickamauga last year in June?
Yeah.
And that's where oh, I forgot his name, but he won it ledge fishing with like 200 inches or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember who it was, but yep.
If I saw his picture, I'd tell you right now who it is.
It wasn't Bailey didn't win that one, did he?
No, he's a West Tennessee guy.
I
I'm
can't
gonna look
remember.
it up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I shut it all out when the season ends.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a great one. I might go dip my toes in that one just because I still haven't played around on Chickamauga any.
Really?
Never. I've never been a chick.
Huh.
I was supposed to go fish
Justin
a TVKA
Patrick.
there, and did Justin Patrick.
Yeah, that's what his name was.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, I've never been a chick. I can't wait to go. I really like that's. I figure I'll probably spend more weekends there this year than Gunnersville instead of me taking the easy 1 hour Saturday trip to Gunnersville.
Yeah.
I may spend some weekends bumming couches and houses and sleeping in my truck or in my camping setup.
I think you'll feel right at home at Chick.
That's what everybody says. Like when I get talking to people like my style, they're like, man, Chick. I mean, Steve-O was like, dude, Chick, go to Chick. Like,
yeah.
And one I would love to go to, which will not happen. One day,
Yeah.
one of these days, I'll make it out there. June 24th, 25th, the California Delta. I think one of the Dark Horse crew guys, Greg Blanchard, Mike Ensign.
Don't forget about Big OBD.
Your favorite fisherman's favorite fisherman. I love that title. That is so good. One of those guys. I think they'll lock that one up. Or Damian Tao. He won everything else in California last year. Damian Tao and oh god, I bet you if I pulled up a tournament right now in California, he probably had won it if it was this month. There's one other guy out there that you got to watch for that's just killing it. But that'll be a June. I think that'll be a good one because that's the way the title fisheries.
Yeah,
it's like the heat doesn't always shut it down. Like it's got full inflow and it forces the fish to move. So it's like you can totally like taking it from Greg Blanchard, but like if you watch his videos, that's what you learn about that is like he knows at the times of day when things force them into these certain covers. It's almost predictable. I mean, obviously there's the delta's huge that you've got to figure out these spots, but it's like once you figure it out and you see what they're doing with tidal swings, it's like you know that the next time the swing is in that favor, that's where they're going to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. There's tidal fisheries on both sides of the country, freshwater bass fisheries. I'd love to fish one of them.
All of them.
Just that too. I mean, let's be real. I'd like to hit this giant lottery and never talk to you
the
people
Potomac,
again on the podcast.
Isn't that also a tidal fishery?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
According to where the tournament boundaries are, that would be affected if I remember correctly. Because I want to say there was a tournament there last year. Then we talked about it. And I'm talking about like, well, yeah, our locals do it further inland, and that's not really a factor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the big 3 trails for the year. Super excited about it. I actually picked up some fishing stuff yesterday for the first time since October. I went and bank fished with my little girl a little bit.
Did you catch your first fish of the year yet?
No. I kept getting bites, and I mean, I'm pretty sure it was just like bluegill and crappie. I had a couple good bites, but I was helping her use her new stuff and teaching her how to use a spinning reel. And I don't know, like I tied on a crawl and literally had zero intentions of doing anything else. If it broke off, I was just throwing the rod in the truck. I didn't care.
Yeah.
But it was like refreshing to get out there and like just cast. Like, okay, it's about that time. Because I've been everybody knows I've picked up, I always pick up new hobbies. I've been PC gaming a bunch and disc golf just because it's a great like
Yeah, when you
exercise.
going pro in disc golf.
Shit, after the round I had today, never.
Yeah.
Man, lost my first disc, like lost it. It's in a bottom of a creek that's flooded right now. Just not a good day.
Sounds about right.
Like I was like the round today was like, I'm so glad. I literally said it getting in my truck, like, I'm so glad fishing's about to fire back up. Because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, time to put that shit down. Time to get back to something I can do. But so something to close with. I didn't talk about any of the updates. So I actually don't think anybody other than like the guys at the shop and some of my buddies know this, but I stepped away from Team New Canoe. I've been with Team New Canoe for, I think it was almost 3 years, maybe more than 2. I don't know. There wasn't anything bad. It's just I love it. It's like, those guys are family. I had a great time with them in ICAST. That was so much fun. And I had big plans and I talked with them. I wanted to do more for them and more with them.
Yeah.
But with the way the team dynamic changed and it really focused on the dealers, which is a great thing. With the relationship I have with our shop with Music City that we both work with, like me running the team and just everything I already do for them, it just doesn't. It wasn't beneficial for me to represent New Canoe with that shop.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's like I told Mike Schmitz, who's was my regional director. I feel like it was a great way to bring someone else in that deserved a sponsorship or deserved like a spot working with a local shop. So we didn't get a new team member directly. We did get a New Canoe team guy that's going to be representing New Canoe at our shop, but that made room for actually one of our old co-hosts, Ryan Milford, just got put on the New Canoe team. So congrats, Milfy.
Yeah. Good job, man.
You earned it. And he's helping out Eastport, one of our show sponsors here that we do our tournament with every year, and they take care of us, and they're our family, and we're theirs. And they got a little pro team going, and they picked Milford up for representing them. But yeah, so I stepped away. No hard feelings. None but love. It was great, but this kind of allows me to. I feel like my thought was like I feel like I can do more for the shop, not being having to stay loyal to one brand.
Yeah.
Because I'd said it through the whole time I worked there. Like when you come in, I'm not just going to try to sell you on a new canoe. Like I'm a perfect believer that there's a perfect boat for, there's a perfect boat for you, and one boat doesn't work for everyone. So I just didn't want to have that obligation. Like, sure, if you came in, I'm looking for a very open concept, great underpower, great paddler. Hell yeah, the Unlimited's your boat. I can guarantee that. But some people come in and they're just like, I need the lightest thing possible. I'm putting it on my Honda Civic and I'm going to go drink beer and float down the Collins. Like, okay, you need this, need this. But with that being said, I did picked up a new boat for the year.
Awesome.
Yeah, got a 2022, I think. Might be a 23. Hell, I don't know. But it's I got a Hobie PA 14 180. And I was talking about Jeff Little rigging my boat. He actually came up to the shop and put the oh god, I'm blanking on the name of the company. It's not On the Water Innovations. That's the trailer company. I cannot remember what the name of it is. But he set up the real badass foot steering system that he's been doing on all the.
Yeah.
I cannot think of. That's how out of kayak fishing I've been, folks. I can't think of any of these names, but it's a real slick system. So I've got foot steering for my motor setup right now. The boat's got a Torqeedo 1103 on it, but that's the shop's motor, so I got to give that one back. But I'm gonna do some testing, do some comparison videos between that and the Newport motor, the NK 180, just to show the differences there. But with the new, I can't even remember what the code number is on it, but Newport dropped their 3-horse too, so we don't have any of those at the shop yet. But just because I don't want to change battery setups again.
Yeah.
But somebody already messaged me wanting the shop to get one in, so we'll just probably like borrow his setup.
I think I'm probably gonna stick with mine. I got the NK.
The 180 does plenty with the Hobie. Your Hobie was plenty fast with it, and so I run the amped outdoors 2450 on mine, and I could go I never found the end of the battery, and
I found the end of it a couple times.
I had 18.8 miles in one trip, and it didn't die. The longest trip I put on it. But we did some cool rigging. So if anybody's in the Southeast that's not going to dugout for anything, if you're in the Tennessee area or, period, come by Music City. Our buddy Blake, he's the rigging guy there. He's good. He's very
got an
detailed.
Instagram page, at MCO Rigging, I believe.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but he's
still getting it off the ground. But yeah, he's
doing some really cool stuff. And we actually did we remolded, we reshaped the inner hatch of the PA-14 with heat, so that I did not want to lose the hatch to just put batteries up there. Yeah. So we swapped the 2450 for two 1260s. So now I'll have 24 volt 60, so a little bit more battery, but they actually fit up against the hull where the little mast pole comes down.
Nice.
And then we heated the hatch bin up and shaped it over a real deep 90 edge, and it still slides right in, but it leaves basically a battery compartment. Dude, and it's awesome. This one looks terrible because we had to do so much experimenting to see like what heat source would work. Like we had two heat guns on it, and it wouldn't do anything. Like 1100 degree high end heat gun, and whatever plastic that is would not stay hot enough to mold without it changing up. We finally put a blowtorch on it, and that worked perfect. So if we had done that first, it would look perfect. But I'm ordering another hatch now that we like know how to do it. I'm ordering another hatch. We're gonna do it again and make it like crisp and clean. But I'll have like perfect weight balancing on the boat, so it's gonna be sick. Batteries in the front, motor in the back. I'll be able to keep, because that's a problem I had when I had that last PA. Is I noticed the nose would stay out of the water. Yeah, like
that.
And I did not want to do that again. So I think we've got that figured out. So I'm excited for that. New boat. Never had a 14. I had the 12. Hated the 12. So I think the 14 is going to work though, because the thing I hated about the 12 was the lack of space. Boat.
Yeah. It's hard to run out of space. I managed to do it, but
I was fixing to say you could.
Yeah.
I rigged it all the way up the other day in the carport and was like, I feel like I don't have anything on this. Like there's just so much room for activities, as they say.
Yeah, if you want to mess with me on the water, if you just go by and throw like a jig or something into my kayak, it might start taking on water.
He's not kidding. I can't stress
the
how
water
much
levels like that.
Like we'll be like, hey, you want to go to Gunnersville for a few hours? And he'll be like, yeah. How many rods you bringing? Yeah, like 10.
12, 10.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it for the show, man. Great first show. I'm glad to have you. What do you think? It's fun so far?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, good. It goes downhill from here.
Yeah.
Now the actual work begins. We have to start finding our guests and paying attention to everybody else in the kayak fishing industry for the rest of the year.
I'm excited to get to talk to some people like all from around the country. It's something I really don't get the chance to do as far as like
telling you, dude, we've got the best job. We get all the good information. And like me and Dan used to joke about it all the time. It's like, we're not doing this for y'all. We're doing this for us. Y'all just get the benefit of it. But you don't get the same benefits. Oh, 100. I have an entire notebook. I filled this up. First year we did. It was the shows. I'd have my cheat notes.
Yeah.
But every one of these has got notes on it. Whether it's baits, technique tips, like anything. We get so much juice, and something you're going to love and the listeners will never hear is there's always conversations before the shows, and there's conversations after. There's always invites like, hey, if you want to come out to Havasu, bro, like you can just stay at my house. So like you make so many connections, and that's what it's about for me with this is like, I love networking, and it's really cool too. Like you do this for a while and people will start noticing you in places, and it's like, that's weird.
I'd say that's a weird feeling.
I was driving down the road pulling the paddle and fin trailer, my little camper, and like a guy like was
yeah,
and then like, love the show, and I was like, weird. It's like but no, it'll be a good time. I'm glad to have you. I think it's gonna be great. you'll bring a totally different, like anytime you have a different guest on here, it just brings a different like aspect to the show, a different perspective. So we'll have a bunch of fun with it. And yeah, thanks for everybody for coming back to this year. Hope everybody likes the cool new changes, and I'm sure that
don't hate on me too much.
Yeah, no, just send all the hate mail to him. Yeah. Any male appendage pictures also at Garrad Johnson.
Yeah, I'll take one for the team for you.
But yeah, can't wait to see where the year goes. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot for Paddle and Fin this year. I'm sure we'll be all over again. I think we're gonna make the iCast run again. We've got the Paddle and Fin Del Hollow event going to come up on April. It'll be here before you know it. That's always my favorite thing all year.
We got the CTK event
us getting out
going
there
hand in hand with it. So that'll be fun.
And you'll get to Garrad was there last year, but you'll actually get to come stay in the big house with us this year.
Yeah, and hopefully not poop the bed on the second day.
Yeah. That was funny. It was terrible. I felt so bad for you, but
God,
I was hoping you were just sleeping on the leaderboard. You were like, nope.
Just one of those days. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited for this season and look forward to working with you on the show, man.
Yeah, dude. Well, we're gonna have a great time. Well, till next week, everybody. We appreciate it once again. Just a little show note. We will be airing on Thursdays. Obviously, if you're listening to this one, you already know that. But that is a permanent thing. It's not just the first show back. So we were coming out on Wednesday mornings. We'll be out on Thursday mornings, but we're still on all your favorite places, all your podcasting locations. Anywhere you can hear a podcast, you can hear us. Waypoint TV, YouTube, and Facebook. If you haven't already, go, hit the bells, like, subscribe, follow the podcast. We've got some new shows and we got some other new hosts. So hopefully I didn't throw that cat out of the bag. I didn't think about that. Those shows probably haven't posted yet. So, but whatever. So we got some new shows, some new guests, new co-hosts, new times, new looks. It's all sorts of new shit for Paddle and Fin. I'm excited. Nice, refreshing new year.
Yeah, it'll be good stuff.
Yeah, that's right. But until then, we'll see y'all next time. Everybody be safe and peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode here on Paddle and Fin. Be sure to drop a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, or smash that subscribe button on any platform you're listening in on. Be sure to check us out on Waypoint TV, waypointtv.com. Make sure you sign up for the Fantasy Kayak Fishing League at paddleandfin.com/fantasy. You could support this show through Patreon, patreon.com/paddleandfin. Don't forget to check out the website, paddleandfin.com. Catch us on YouTube. If you got a question, comment, or want to see a future guest on the show, be sure to email us at paddleandfin@gmail.com. Shout out to our show supporters, Yak Gadget. You can check out all the fine kayak accessories at yakgadget.com. Pelican Professional. For all your cases, coolers, and lighting needs, go to pelican.com. Rocktown Adventures, your Midwest premier paddle sports destination. Go to rocktownadventures.com. Eastport Marina, the beautiful destination on Dale Hollow Lake. If you're looking for lodging, kayaks, kayak accessories, or anything fishing related on the beautiful Dale Hollow Lake, go to eastport.info. And Jig Masters Jigs,